And it's also in the feathers of flamingos. Please don't eat the feathers of flamingos, and please also don't eat flamingos.
Hello everyone, today we're going to have a go at learning how to stop discriminating based on species with clips of Andrew Huberman. Huberman has one of the biggest podcasts, so any anti-animal rights messages have the potential to create huge suffering for sentient beings across the globe. Speciesism is the belief that some sentient beings are inferior to humans or other sentient beings merely because they are from a different species. It's basically saying that because a sentient being is from a different species, we can exploit them, such as kill them and eat them for a burger we won't remember eating tomorrow. It's no different than racism, sexism, ethnocentrism, homophobia, ableism, and all other prejudices. The morally relevant trait in sentient beings is the ability to feel things such as fear, pain, happiness, etc. This is known as sentience. Huberman clearly gives moral consideration to some non-human sentient beings, such as goldfish and flamingos.
Gut microbiome is kind of like an aquarium or a fish tank.
No, I'm just thinking about goldfish swimming around and the goldfish eating people. Don't eat goldfish, people.
Thank you.
Live or dead.
Yeah.
And it's also in the feathers of flamingos. Please don't eat the feathers of flamingos, and please also don't eat flamingos.
Here is Huberman and Lex Fridman talking about the exploitation of non-human sentient beings.
And by the way, I should give you a big thank you for connecting me with Bel Campo Farms. They sent me some meat, I think because of you, and it's delicious. So I really appreciate that. I mean, it also connected me with this whole world of people who are doing farming in this ethical way and like really love the whole process, and as from both like a human level but also scientific level. And the result is it's like ethical but also is delicious, and it makes you think about your diet in a whole new kind of way.
It would sound insane if someone said that it is possible to farm humans in an ethical way. This is because it is not possible to respect someone whilst violating their basic right to life. What could be crueler than supporting the killing of an animal for a 3-minute meal when you can easily choose not to? This extends into all areas of life, such as we would not accept humans behind bars in zoos, so why do we accept this with non-human animals?
And also the meat it's awesome. It tastes really good. And no, I'm not getting paid to say that. And no, they're not sponsoring my podcast.
It's okay to do something pleasurable as long as there is not a victim involved. For example, if I got pleasure by punching someone, it would not make it justified because I would be violating the rights of the individual concerned.
It's just, I feel like if you're going to eat animals, if that's in your framework and you're going to eat animals, knowing that the animals were raised as happy as could be until, time of slaughter is at least important to me.
And would Huberman be okay with raising dogs or humans as happy as can be and then killing them? If a murderer was raising humans and then killing them to produce steak, but they said I raised them as happy as can be, does that make them exempt from their actions? Once something is alive, the interest is in its continued existence. Applying this utilitarian mindset is speciesist because he would not do it in the case of humans.
All that said, I do want to, because a lot of people who are vegan write to me, and I do want to seriously, in the same seriousness that I approached keto, I do want to go like on a few months to switch to a vegan diet at some point, to really try it.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet because I'm afraid I'm going to function better.
It's crazy to think that he's afraid to get rid of animal products from his diet because he'll function better if he stops supporting the exploitation of innocent beings.
I'm Argentine by my dad's side, and I don't eat meat super often. I tried carnivore, but for most people it would seem often, but I do love steak. I do. So I'm afraid I'm going to feel better.
Steak is a word used to make us detached from the dead. All of these words such as beef, dairy, butter, etc. are just used to make us forget that our choices involve the exploitation of sentient beings.
There's a social element to steak, you're right, because coming from a Russian background, like I can't imagine going to visit my folks, like my parents for Thanksgiving or something, and say, Mom and Dad, I'm I don't eat meat.
Parents want their child to grow up and have good values. Parents should be happy if their child comes home and says they're vegan and no longer supports the violation of the rights of sentient beings. Parents should be happy if their child comes home and says they're no longer sexist, ableist, homophobic, racist, etc. The same thing applies with speciesism.
So is it,
Well, I think if you're going to eat meat, getting it from sources that are compatible with, continuation of the planet is good.
Diets compatible with veganism may lower environmental footprint by 75%. It's pretty hard to not lower environmental impact when one stops supporting the exploitation of sentient beings. This meta-analysis concluded that on average, plant-based products have around 11% the environmental impact that of animal-based products. There is a difference though between ethics and the environment. Just because something is environmentally friendly doesn't make it ethical.
I mean, there are some real problems with the factory farm meat. You drive up and down the 5 and you pass that point where there are all those cows. I mean, as somebody who loves animals, it's clear that it's, you want to limit the amount of suffering of those animals.
It really seems like he's just saying this to make himself feel good. Is it possible to love animals whilst paying for them to be killed? When you're violating the rights of an individual and they don't want to die, it doesn't matter how you do it. The best way to realize this is just putting yourself in the place of the victim. Factory farmed, grass-fed, whatever, it is still looking at other sentient beings as objects to be exploited. We do not need to do this in the 21st century. Everything else is just an excuse.
Whenever I hear about, we know people that hunt and that go and get their own meat, I really admire that. I admire that people do that. We don't tend to do that in the hills around Stanford. There are mountain lions back there, but that's about it. And I'm certainly, I admire the vegan mindset of just making that decision. You're just not going to consume other beings, but I haven't gone that way.
Huberman here has confused vegans with vegetarians. Vegetarians don't consume any beings, whilst the vegans don't support any rights violations. By rights, we mean basic rights to life, such as to not be exploited. A good question to ask oneself is, what is true of animals that, if true of humans, would justify killing or hunting them for food? Most people would say it would be crazy to hunt humans even if they are overpopulating. However, many people still condone the hunting of non-human animals. The fact that we have this differential treatment between humans and non-human sentient beings is speciesist. It's not saying that human animals are the same as non-human animals, but the realization that discrimination of a living thing on species alone, whilst not taking into account sentience, is a form of prejudice. What unites all sentient beings is the ability to have preferences, desires, feel pain, happiness, sadness, etc. Sure, it's a good trait to not be speciesist, ableist, racist, etc. However, it's really a low moral bar. Hunting takes place in the wild, but let's not get our morals from the wild. All sorts of terrible things happen in nature, such as infanticide, cannibalism, and sexual exploitation. Would Huberman sign off on all these things as well? I don't think so.
I have a lot of preconceived notions of what performance is like under vegan diet, and I want to do it right, like seriously, not necessarily for the ethical reasons.
Veganism is not a diet, it's an ethical position. We rarely see people go from being against human rights violations to supporting them, and the same thing goes with ethical vegans and animal rights. There are infinite diets compatible with veganism. So many people confuse veganism to be another dietary tribe such as keto. We have more and more evidence anyway that vegan diets can support equally good performance whilst avoiding rights violations.
I remember there's like a fruitarian diet where you eat fruit only.
A lot of diets compatible with veganism may be health promoting, whilst others not. Feel free to try extreme diets such as fruitarian if you want, but if you fail to meet your nutritional needs, don't go back to supporting the exploitation of sentient beings. I'm still also trying to unlearn speciesism. I would be more than happy to speak with Huberman about the ethics of veganism. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Keep on living every day to the maximum and see you soon for another video. Ciao.